What is the science of communicating anything to anyone? If you have got a message that you want to get across to anyone, there is some basic science that will help you do just that, even if it means getting your kids to do their chore with a smile. Let me ask you a question. How can you meet the needs of every person in your audience all at once and make your message relevant to just about anyone? Now, obviously, I can't promise in a few minutes that I can give you all that you need to do just that, but I can promise that if you stick with me through the end of this tutorial, you'll have some new tools to design your next conversation, presentation, or meeting, and you'll have the science to back it up. Plus, at the end of this video, I'll share a handy way we've been using ChatGPT to speed this whole process up. Hi, my name is Andrea Reindl. I am a brand strategist and the founder of Legacy Creative. For more than a decade, my team and I have grown businesses by helping design, define, and document brands that make a difference. Because of that, we are insanely curious about humans and what makes us tick, what makes us buy, and what helps us trust a brand. If you are equally curious about these topics, please hit the like and subscribe button to be notified the next time we publish a tutorial. In the meantime, today we're going to talk about communicating anything to anyone. Did you know the 1990s were known as the decade of the brain? It was the decade that science began to understand how amazing the brain really is and how much it affects everything we do, how we understand, how we communicate, and what it takes to move information from our short-term memory to our long-term memory. In that decade, scientists also studied and started to understand how to transfer information from one brain to another brain to be understood. Transferring information from one brain to another brain to be understood is a skill. Knowledge is nice, understanding is better. My personal belief about branding and marketing and business ownership is that you should be able to communicate to the brain and the heart of your ideal clients at all times. That is how you create brand loyalty, is getting to the heart and the head. Today, we're going to unpack how to present your big idea and how to help your target audience remember it. In 1956, George A. Miller, a Harvard professor, published a paper that became his contribution to the field of cognitive neuroscience. The paper was called The Magical Number 7 Plus or Minus 2. Now, you may not know the paper, but you probably know the premise of it. It was pretty straightforward. How could educators help learners remember what is being taught? The hypothesis was that there was a limit to the working memory and how much information a human could hold at once. Duh! Have you ever tried to remember something new that you were presented in a meeting while also figuring out how to slide a drink in after work, walk the dog, and before bed make sure you call your mama? Yep, I think overwhelm is something we can all relate to. Limits to the working memory are a real thing. Even if you didn't know the words for it, you can relate to the feeling of having a limited working memory. Now, in 1956, when the paper was published, the conclusion was that the working memory can hold about 7 concepts at once, plus or minus 2. And this became known as Miller's Law. Many of us in communication believed that number 7, including me, until recently when I learned about new research done in the decade of the brain released in 2001 by a scientist named Nelson Cowan. In his paper titled The Magical Number 4 in Short-Term Memory, a Reconsideration of Mental Storage Capacity, Cowan suggested that the capacity of the short-term memory might be closer to 4 items, based on his analysis of various experimental data. And of course, by this time we had computers and the internet to help the research take in more data and make more sense of it. So, what does this mean to you if you are in branding or client experiences, or designing great programs, or writing books for people? Well, if you want people to remember your message, you're going to need to make it into their working or short-term memory and ultimately have your message move to their long-term memory. Think of the working memory or the short-term memory as a teeny tiny whiteboard in your audience's brain, and it can only hold 4 plus or minus 2 concepts at once. And here's the catch. As communicators, marketers, educators, anyone whose success depends on transferring information from your brain to another person's brain, you have to remember that little tiny whiteboard is already probably full when they first meet you. Our readers, listeners, viewers already have full working memories. If you simply remember that you are not the most important thing to your reader, listener, viewer at the time that your message hits them, you are already miles ahead of your competitors, and your communication strategy is already advanced. So now that you know that, what can you actually do about it? First, Get to your big idea as soon as possible and frame it for your listener, watcher, reader to know what's in it for them if they pay attention to you. If they divert their precious attention and focus to your message, what will it do for them? Get to that big idea as fast as you can, as clear as you can, and as concise as you can. Next, link your big idea to something that your audience already understands. This is also based in neuroscience. You may have heard that neurons that fire together wire together. Well, if you can link your big idea to something that your target audience already knows, that will help their neurons or their thoughts wire together. Something called myelination happens when the two neurons in the brain are activated closely together at the same time. They get essentially duct taped together with a fatty substance called myelin. And when neurons get duct taped together, or myelinated, the idea gets remembered. So that means if you want to communicate something to your audience, it's really 2 steps. Number 1, get to your big idea as fast as possible. Number 2, link your big idea to something relevant to your audience so they can duct tape your idea and what they already know together, and then put it on their teeny little whiteboard known as the working memory. How are ways you can myelinate or duct tape those concepts together? Well, here's a few. It includes number 1, telling great stories that are relevant to your audience. So if you're talking to a bunch of mothers, you can talk about the journey of childbirth. Or if you're talking to a bunch of hikers, you can talk about the journey of climbing a mountain. Both journeys are highly relatable to the right audience, and the closer you can link your storytelling to your audience's frame of knowledge, the better it will work. Another way you can do this is to restate your big idea in an analogy that your target audience for that presentation will understand. Basically, an analogy is saying something is like something else. A famous analogy we probably all know is Forrest Gump when he said, "Life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get." Well, we can all relate to that because we've all opened a box of assorted chocolates and been surprised when we look at the box knowing we don't have a clue what chocolate we're gonna bite into, but we know it will be a good sugar-filled adventure. It's highly relatable because we've all done it. So when you're prepping your presentation materials, think about your audience and what analogies are they most likely to jive with and understand. Okay, pro tip on this one. Here at Legacy Creative, we love asking ChatGPT to help us brainstorm analogies. So for example, while I was creating the script for this video, I asked Chat, can you give me 3 analogies similar to life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. And here's what ChatGPT gave me back. Life is like a journey down a winding road, you never know what lies around the bend. Life is like a puzzle with missing pieces, you never know how it will come together. See, Chat gave me lots of options for how to link something that the audience would understand to the point that I was trying to make. Now here's another pro tip. I asked Chat again to give me more examples that a group of kindergartners would understand. And check it out, this is what Chat gave me back when I gave it slightly better instructions. Life is like a surprise gift. You never know what's inside. Life is like a playground. You never know who you'll meet or what games you'll play. And finally, my favorite one, life is like a storybook. You never know what's gonna happen on the next page. All of those are great examples of analogies and how you could link them to a story that your target audience would understand. You see, they all make the same points, relevant to a different audience, and now I hope you get my drift. Analogies are one of the best ways to get your big idea to myelinate in your target audience's limited working memory so they get and remember what you're teaching. I hope this was helpful and you'll be able to use it the next time you design a presentation, write an email, or pitch chore day to your kids. Remember, all you need to do is get to your big idea, what's in it for them, and link it to something they'll understand. If you like this, please comment below and subscribe to the channel. Remember to hit the bell to be notified when our next video goes live. If you want to stay in touch on other places, there's links below to find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, or join our email list where we share certain information that you only get on the email list. Until next time, I'm Andrea. Make it a great day.